Hi, this is our final term project presentation for DSE598, Statistics for Data Analyst. My name is Aryan Gupta, and I'm making this project with Arpit Bhatt, Sai Shrikar, and Ryan Lewis. And for this project, we're doing a credit card information to identify churn. So the given data set is a subset of customers' credit card information from 2018 and 2019. And this it includes attributes such as personal information and credit card usage. There are a total of 20,071 customers represented, and each customer is represented in the rows, and the columns represent each attribute. There's a total of 21 attributes, which include categorical and numerical features. Now, the problem that we decided to take up is identifying if we can use these features to tell if a customer is going to leave the credit card company service or not. And we think that this is a pretty important task, especially for data analysts, because more so now than ever, companies are hiring data analysts to predict if customers are going to keep using the service or not because of growing competition. And so we decided to use a null hypothesis that there is going to be no relationship between attributes and attrition, and the alternate hypothesis that there is going to be a relationship between attributes and attrition. And finally, we know that not all attributes can be quantified. For instance, people could leave the service because of poor customer service, or maybe they relocated. And so even though this information is hard to quantify, it still affects our analysis, and we did our best to try to incorporate that in our final results.
Hi guys. So I'm Arpit Bhatt and I'll take you through data pre-processing and the visualization that we have done. So firstly, we've decided to drop client num and attrition flag. The client num was just an ID, so it is not really useful in our predictions. And the attrition flag is the target attribute, so we've decided to drop it. And we also decided to drop data leave, which is synchronous with attrition flag, so it will cause data leakage. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So the this plot shows that the range of sorry this plot shows the customer age and the count of customer age. So we can see that there are a lot of customers at around 45, and evidently there are fewer near 20 and 70. So these plots are for attrition flag with customer age and transaction count. So no, can you go back? Yeah. The transaction count for existing customer is also higher than that of attrited customers. The range is the difference between the maximum and the minimum values of the data. So the range of the transaction count is around 129, while the range of the transaction count for attrited customers is 84. This means that there are the existing customers have more variation in their transaction frequency than the attrited customers, and the existing customers also have, like, we can see that they have more outliers than attrited customers. And this is a correlation plot between credit limit and transaction count based on card categories for both genders. So we've plotted this to see if there were any biases based on gender and all. So it appears to have positive correlation between credit limit and total transaction count for both genders. And from the visualization, we can see that there is not much bias, and so we haven't decided to pursue this problem. But this also means that gender does not affect credit limit and transaction count of the customers.
I am Shrikar, and coming to the models. For initial regression analysis, we used four models. Random forest, which constructs multiple decision trees independently using random samples. Logistic regression, which classifies based on probabilities of the instances. Decision tree, which recursively splits data and predicts continuous outcomes. And support vector machines, which can perform regression by finding the best hyperplane while maintaining a margin. So the method was that we used the train test bed function from SCI-Kit library to split the data into training and test sets. And looking at the data set, there are a total of 20,071 customers, out of which only 2,572 were attrited. So we made sure that these customers were distributed proportionally between the two sets. And each model was tested for training, validation, and test losses. After the initial testing, we decided on using t-test for hypothesis testing, during which we tuned the alpha hyperparameter. The results in the demographic factors, education level and marital status displayed a notably strong connection with attrition. Financial attributes like income category and credit limit displayed significant correlation with attrition. And in transaction behavior, total transaction count and average utilization ratio, along with the quarter of the year, were correlated with attrition. So in the results, as we can see here, comparing the p-value to the confidence interval and the t-statistic to the critical value, we can confidently reject the null hypothesis, which states that there is no significant correlation between the attributes and attrition.
All models displayed relatively similar performance from the machine learning model standpoint side. And they were all fairly on the machine learning side, were all fairly similar in terms of interpretability. There's not much to be seen from the specific features and their contribution to the ultimate prediction. A model like random forest and decision trees might give more insight into the specifics of certain outcomes. But just for the pure prediction, logistic regression and support vector machines were good for identifying churn or not. Ultimately, it's clear from the statistical and machine learning models, as well as our hypothesis testing, that we can reject a null hypothesis, and there is a relationship at our tested alpha between the variables and the ultimate prediction of attrition. So from here, it would be helpful to dig into some of the specifics, and if we could continue to do analysis to determine, for instance, why the older customers or maybe the wealthier customers would be more likely to attrit. For instance, we might hypothesize that they have more options in the market. And ultimately, most of this analysis towards churn will be directed either back towards our business development unit or like marketing to determine how else to adjust the offering, or how else to get new clients into the funnel and predict their lifetime value. That is how much they'll spend with the company and how long we can expect them to stay with the credit card company.